It's so beautiful to listen to the sound. And it reminds me of human life. In many ways, we are being sung by life. Something is moving through every human being. And for me, that is love. And every human being has a unique expression of love. And when we were children, we lived in this love. So learning how to once again hear the song of love within us, I would say, is the destiny of every single human life. To recognize that song. So beautiful.
So beautiful, so beautiful, and thank you, Andrew Fretwell, for being here. Allowed me to be grateful for the chance of being present here with you, to Adrian Constantinescu, to Emma Radio, and Andrea Dino. Wow, so beautiful. And still, there are times in our life when we are disconnected of the beauty of life, sun, the wind, the stars, earth, our heart.
Yes, yes.
And you are a Taoist teacher.
Mm-hmm.
You are founder of a special technique, method, original feeling touch. And lots we'll find during our meeting today.
Sure.
So, what to do in order to feel what we are, and what is this today? The program is pre-recorded. Our now, it's now.
Yes.
Our viewers now. It's in our home now. What is this?
What is now?
What is now?
It's life moving. It's life. Life is now. Life is now. Our hearts are now. Love is now. Yeah. And that includes separation. That includes pain.
Pain.
Yes. Yeah, pain is part of life. Joy is part of life. As young children, we lived like this, right? 1 minute we hurt ourselves, we were crying, we were in pain. The next minute we were laughing, we were open, you know.
Life movement, we cannot avoid pain.
No.
In Tao Te Ching, there are some moments, some particular moments when it's hard.
Yes.
When it's pain.
Pain, yeah, pain. Constriction.
This is life, constriction, pain, also life.
It's part of life, yes.
We are running from pain, we are running of all dark, negative emotions, but this is life. We are running from ourselves.
Yes, yes, yeah. And we want an explanation of why. This is the nature of the mind. Why is there pain? Why is there suffering, you know?
When we cannot leave the moment,
right.
We ask why.
Exactly. 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 Yeah. We ask why. And it's a very human quality. And I think I'd like to start this interview by talking about what is evolution, what is growth for a human being, what is that? You know, what does that look like? Because I think that's not very clear for many people about what it is. You know, what is it to evolve as a human being? And this is an analogy that I like very much. And I like to break it down into 4 components. And so I'm going to use a metaphor from when we were young, when we were a small child, because certainly we went through a big growing process from being a child to being an adult. And I'd like to come back a little bit, because in the Tao Te Ching they talk about the ones closest to the Tao, closest to love, closest to God, or closest to life are either small children or very wise sages, right? This is in the Tao Te Ching. Those are the closest beings to love, to life. So I'd like to use an analogy from childhood, if I may.
Wow, please.
Is that okay?
Amazing.
Okay, so for example, the first stage in our evolution is awareness. The first stage is always awareness. So imagine that young child at maybe 6 or 7, it looks at their parents tying their shoelaces. Very simple thing. So there's the awareness. Oh, mummy and daddy are tying their shoelaces. I think I would like to attempt that. That's the first step, awareness. Awareness that they can step into a new level of being. So tying shoelaces is unknown to the child until that moment. You understand?
Awareness.
Awareness that something needs to evolve in us. In the case of the young child, it's tying the shoelaces.
And this is a spontaneous movement in this first step of evolution.
Yes.
So we enter into awareness
yes.
naturally,
yes,
spontaneously.
Yeah. There's an awareness that something in us wants to evolve. Something wants to change. Something wants to become more mature. Yeah? So the child sees that, and of course it goes and tries to tie its shoelaces. And this is the second stage. And do you know what the second stage is?
No?
It's confusion. It's unknown. It's a mystery. The child has never tied their shoelaces before, so that's a very confusing time.
Yes. To enter into the unknown
yes.
and to afford to leave the unknown.
Yes. To allow it.
Allow it.
Because it's part of evolution.
Our minds always try to reduce the unknown to the known.
Yes.
And to some old patterns of known.
Yes. Yes. We don't like the unknown.
Yeah.
But it's part of evolution. Confusion is part of evolution. The mystery. So the child, if it has the loving support of its parents, will eventually learn to tie its shoelaces. It will go through many frustrations and many challenges. But if the parents are just there supporting and just naturally there, not telling the child he should do it or none of that. It's just support, unconditional support for the child's frustration. And then one day the child will have a breakthrough. And many on the spiritual journey want to move from presence and awareness to breakthrough. They don't want to experience this time of confusion, this time of
yes.
unknown and mystery. And many, what I call fast food spirituality, is focused in that. In a way, it's a form of, I wouldn't say manipulation, but it's a form of saying, it's the old spirituality, I would say, the masculine, the false masculine, that we have to achieve something to feel our goodness, to feel our rightness. But in fact, life is a mystery and there will always be a moment of challenge. So once the child has the breakthrough, it's like, wow, I can tie my shoelaces now. Wow, it's a breakthrough, and there's such a joy in the child's heart. Now he's becoming an adult. And then he learns to integrate, you know. He may still have a few little challenges, but then one day it becomes integrated. And then guess what? The whole process repeats itself. Next one is ride a bike. And then the process
yes.
go again, right? And then just because we become an adult, we think that that process no longer applies to us. But it does. We're continually evolving. And I would say the place where we're the least evolved is in our emotional nature, in our feeling nature. I was watching CNN the other day, and there was a beautiful sharing from someone about I think it was about these refugees coming from Syria, and this person started to cry, and he almost excused himself and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm so emotional." And there's this fear in our society these days about our emotions, about our feelings. And for me, this is what truly makes us human, actually. And I'm not suggesting that we all become blubbering children, that we all start to be angry and express all our emotions. But what I am encouraging you to do is to become like a child on the inside and allow our feelings to express very fluidly and very gently inside ourselves, and not to deny any of them. And this was why I developed this original feeling touch, this way of touching the body like life touches us when we're in the womb. You know, when life is holding us in the womb, it's not expecting us to, come on you child, grow, grow. It's just there. We're in the fluid and we're being held. And so this is what we need more than anything, is this understanding, this dignity, that sometimes life is challenging, sometimes life is confusing. And this is where we get stuck. We're not comfortable with these, what I would call darker places inside of us, you know. And we need compassion for that.
The feminine perspective.
It's a feminine perspective, yes.
Which is connected to the darkness,
yes,
to the uncertainness,
exactly,
to the mystery.
The mystery, yes.
And the fast food spirituality, it is fast because it is trying to cut.
Yes.
As a male is cutting through reality, small blocks which can be more easily and securely perceived and considered that that's all, yes.
Yes, yeah.
Our society is full of male perspective.
And it's very hierarchical.
Hierarchical, yes.
Yes, because we look up to spiritual teachers, or we look down to people who are sick. And part of my teaching is to look straight at each other with dignity. There's no up, there's no down. Just to look straight at each other.
Maybe
very,
left
very
and
simply.
right, but not up and down.
Well, even that, you know, is to look straight and to see our basic dignity as human beings, you know. We can never know another person's journey. We can never know another person's soul journey. So we need to use our external judgments, we need to return them within ourselves and use that discriminatory power for ourselves and not for other people.
Dignity.
Yes, dignity is so important.
Yeah.
It's looking, I call it looking straight.
Looking straight.
Looking straight, because you know, if someone comes to you and they have diabetes, for example, that's challenging, that's painful, but it doesn't make that person less. I have my own challenge. I may not have diabetes. I may have an issue with anger, for example. In fact, most of my life I've struggled with my anger. And for me, that's my diabetes in a way.
Yeah.
It's no different.
No different, of course.
We all have a challenge. We all have challenges that we have to face in our life.
The critical voice inside me projected on you produced this kind of hierarchic view, yes. So no, you have to be better, you have to be on top, because I feel that I'm not on top, and I demand on myself to, in order to be instead of being only being, to have something or to become somebody.
Yeah, yeah. And this is a learnt quality. We weren't like this as children. We learnt this. As children, we weren't like this. This is the heart. This is living from the heart.
Angie, you meet Master Mantak Chia I was wondering now, your life, your destiny, your journey. How come that you enter the way of the Tao?
I think, like everyone, I wanted answers. To answer those questions. Why is life sometimes painful? I think I had that question. I mean, I knew when I was very young I had lots of physical symptoms with my belly, you know, having trouble digesting food and things like this. And I was always like, and very sensitive as a young man, you know, incredibly sensitive to the people around me, and still am, very much so. And learning to live with that.
What a quality!
Well, but very challenging because I could feel everyone around me. I could feel, you know, I could feel everyone's feelings, and I could feel my own. And And I sometimes felt like I was a stranger in a strange land, you know. So I think, in answer to your question, the reason I studied the Tao was because it was the most practical and grounded. I tried other types of spirituality, and I found they disconnected me from life here and now. So, for example, when I first met my teacher, Master Chia, you know, he didn't give me stories of other realms or other realms of existence or anything like that. He just very simply said, "Oh, Andrew, take care of your lungs." You know, it was a very practical thing, you know, very, very physical, very practical, you know, to take care of my physical body, you know. And that's spiritual. You know, our bodies are spiritual, our bodies are divine, you know. They deserve as much respect as spirit.
And you start to practice Chinese traditional medicine,
yes,
meaning Qigong, for
the
example.
The main work was this interest with abdominal touching, unconditional touching on the belly, and that particular tradition is called Chi Nei Tsang.
Chi Nei Tsang.
Which means basically it's not. It looked like it's massage, but it's not massage.
Oh,
and we can see me talking about it up here.
Okay, so you are here in
Spain, in Barcelona.
In
yes.
Barcelona,
Yes,
Spanish television. Chi Nei Tsang, the art and
Essence School.
Essence School.
Yes, yes. Because I noticed something that, even though I deeply respected Master Chia and his tradition, I noticed that the Asian tradition was a little bit too forceful for the Western constitution. So myself...
So you needed to translate. Here, it's a picture of the technique.
Well, it's not really a technique.
No.
This is something that I'm teaching, that I'm very passionate now about, teaching that it's not technique that heals, it's touch that heals.
Touch that
it's
heals.
touch, yeah.
Okay.
So an unconditional touch is important.
So you have, can you give us an image of what you're doing? So you are touching the abdomen of...
Yeah, touching with not trying to fix anything. This is really important.
No goal.
Exactly. There's no goal. And no one needs fixing, actually. We don't need fixing. This is one of the, again, this is the feminine view of life.
And your touch can be soft or more profound, depend on what you are feeling. In of course, the stupid questions.
No, it's not stupid. No, it's just that we don't need to be fixed. Our bodies are very intelligent. So if our body gives us a symptom, it has a good reason for it. And
this is a message, the symptom.
Yes, and the body's intelligent, you know. And the main principle behind my work is that all physical symptoms are a reflection of deeper emotional charges that are hidden in our body. Experiences that we had maybe as a child that were so hard that we couldn't digest them. So we hid them somewhere in our body. Our body
Yes.
did that on purpose to protect us.
So here we are digesting the emotion, in
Yes.
fact.
Yeah.
And this is the Xia Dantien, in
Yes.
fact. So the main place in Chinese chart of the being. Yeah.
Yeah, in the same way that sometimes we eat food that is indigestible, that gives us a pain. We have many experiences in life that we can't digest, that are very challenging for us.
Yes.
And so what our body does is it hides those experiences deep inside our organs and in places deep inside until we have enough support, enough awareness and enough maturity to get back in touch with those feelings and release the life force that is trapped in there. So this is really important to understand. We really need to go slow into this, because what I see the most is that everyone is judging themselves for their symptoms. They're judging themselves for the feelings inside that are challenging. And we need to be very compassionate with ourselves and not judge ourselves anymore for these challenging experiences in life. We need the gentleness. I call the power of gentleness. We need that. And so my main work is training others to touch in a way that's non-judgmental, not trying to fix. And our bodies love that type of touch. They love that touch. Think about when you're arguing with someone, right? If you're arguing with someone you're really close to, if you look deep inside yourself in that moment, what you're longing for, I wish they'd just understand me. I wish they would accept me as I am. That's basically two arguments. That's what's happening on inside each one. And of course, if we can bring this to our communication as well, if we can just listen to others and validate their pain, validate what they're experiencing.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at an argument between two people, you know, especially two people who love each other, all we're really looking for on the inside is validation. But actually we never give the space to each other for that validation, because as soon as someone says something, you know, it's usually like, you didn't give me this or you didn't give me that. And then the other person goes, but I did give you this and I did give you that. And in fact, we have to stop that.
We are vulnerable of this kind of argument.
Yes, what we need to do is really
Defensive.
listen. We really need to listen to our partners, even if they're criticizing us, even if they're projecting onto us, even if they're saying things that seem very unfair. If we could just listen to that person, really listen, without taking it, I mean, we'll take it personally on the inside, but we don't have to interrupt them. We can validate them. We can just keep listening and listen. In fact, this is the new form of leadership that's coming into the world, the ability to listen deeply.
Listen deeply.
To listen
yes.
deeply.
I'm here for you to hear that you feel in pain.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and even though, you know, even though it looks like you're blaming me, I know deep inside that's not actually what's happening.
And what you really want. Yes.
It's really, you just want
so
validation.
Hard for you, yes.
Yes.
So you cannot keep it for you, and you have to tell me this.
Yes. Yeah. And if you can really listen, and my friend Richard Rudd, who we're going to talk about later, the Gene Keys, he calls this returning non-love with love.
Non-love.
And this is the teachings of Jesus, basically.
What is non-love then?
Well, it's understanding that people have pain. You know, people have pain. They feel pain.
Yes.
And that pain is actually ancestral.
The pain is ancestral.
Yes.
So it's transmitted
through the bloodline.
Through the bloodline.
Yes. This is what Jesus meant, right, when he said, "Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do." What did he mean by that? They know not what they do.
Yes.
My understanding of that is that this is unconscious patterns passed down through generations. You know, like, it's like the original sin, if you like.
So, in fact, this is the psychological definition of a sin.
Yes.
It's a negative emotion, very difficult to process inside.
Exactly.
And was unconsciously, so become unconscious in order to protect our conscious psyche from it, and passed to the next generation.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Deep secret.
Yeah. So what Jesus said is, see, forgiveness is not something we do. Forgiveness is seeing with clarity.
Seeing with clarity.
Yeah.
So forgive.
It means we see that people's pain is people's pain. It's not personal. It's something that they can't digest within themselves, so they want to project it outwards. This is what Jesus meant, right? Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do. In other words, they don't see that this pain inside of them is driving their actions.
Forgive me in the same measure that I forgive you. So this is symmetrically forgiving myself and forgiving the other. So this means expanding my capacity of viewing clearly seeing what I am is consciousness.
Yeah, it's awareness.
Awareness.
It's awareness to see that all pain in the world is, all, pain that's expressed outward is because of pain on the inside that's not digested, we can't handle it inside ourselves. I mean, it's the same as I told you when you're arguing. You're going to blame your partner because that's what we learned. We think the other person is responsible for that pain. And this is where you get violence. This is where violence comes from. All of these.
Yes, we are now in the core, in the root of all the world's problems, in fact, with this.
Yes, yeah. It's the inability to take responsibility for our own pain. So going back to that analogy, like I gave a very simple analogy of the child and tying shoelace, but if we go to an adult, you're with your partner and they say something or they look at you a certain way, and in that moment you feel pain inside. And the tendency then is to blame your partner for that pain that you feel. And it's very human. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just human. But we have to change that, right? We have to somehow, because that's not working.
Yeah.
Because as Gandhi said, you know, an eye for an eye will make the whole world blind, right?
Yeah.
So we have to somehow or other, even though it feels, when we're being blamed, when we're being attacked, you know, this was Gandhi's approach, right? It was non-violent resistance, right? It was like, I'm going to take that, even, you know, I'm going to like not rise to that level, right? I'm going to somehow or other take responsibility inside myself. I'm going to stop the pattern now.
Yes, so when I feel so in so much pain, in that moment, I consider that somebody else is responsible.
Exactly.
Why? Because I live in a kind of male universe in which I should be in control of all my feelings.
Exactly.
And if I cannot control them, and look, now I feel so bad, that means that it's somebody else controlling this, and I try all my best, but still it is impossible. It's a very subtle thing to accept this. So acceptance means to be more feminine, more receptive.
More receptive, I would say, and to acknowledge that that pain inside us is pointing us back to something. You know, the reason we feel that pain is because it holds our higher destiny, actually. If we can embrace that pain and transform it, we're actually going to become something authentic, actually, I would say. Because the more we can embrace it on the inside, the more we can embrace it on the outside. Yeah. Exactly. So we become an authentic human being, you know. Yeah. But it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's certainly not easy, and it's not, there's no role models for it, I think. Well, there's a few, like I often think of Nelson Mandela, you know, he was in prison for 30 years, you know, and he came out of that experience more rich, you know, and he brought all of that wisdom to heal his society, but he didn't heal it through blaming the South Africans. He healed it through a council of reconciliation, where the pain was acknowledged, but there was no more blame. So he stopped the cycle of violence. He stopped the cycle of blame and reaction. So he's a great example, I think, of the power of forgiveness and how one person can make such a difference.
Yes, plus to stop the circle.
The repetition.
The repetition.
Yeah.
From our relatives, our transgenerational patterns.
Yes.
Yes, we are conditioned of this. Somebody said, Bert Hellinger, for example, the laws of love.
Yes.
We cannot break those kind of vicious circles because we love so much our family and our ways.
Yes.
So we have to exit our ways of not seeing. It's a miracle.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's beautiful. Like, I was here I was in Bucharest about 2 weeks ago, and I witnessed a road accident. I was driving in my taxi, and I saw an old man on the road, you know, was injured, and I saw all of the local people around sharing their love, you know, sharing their concern. And I said to the taxi driver and the friend who was in the car, you see, that's natural for human beings, this ability to love, you know, this ability to support another in pain, you know. And then I was thinking that often it's much easier to show that love to a stranger than it is to our families and to the ones closest to us. In fact, the ones closest to us we tend to hurt the most. And we need to really look deeply at that. What is that? Because it is natural for us to love. It's the most natural thing in the world for a human. This is why I'm saying to live from the heart is actually what we all long for. We all long to live from the heart. Whatever it is you want in life, it's all about living from the heart. You want more money, it's because you want to feel more love. You want a better job, it's because you want to feel more love. You want better health, it's because you want to feel more love. It's all about love. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for that love, you know. And
even now in this television program,
yes.
please love Andrew, love Matthew.
Well, no, I would say find the person in your family that you have the most challenge with and welcome them back, even if they've done something unforgivable. Because that person usually in the family, I call it the person who's the black sheep, you know.
Yes.
They're actually the ones who carry the most love.
Escaping goat.
Yeah, they're the ones who carry the most love, you know. So in every family, there's someone who's outside. There's someone that's ostracized, and we have all these reasons why they're outside. Oh, they're an alcoholic, or they're this, or they're that. But we have to understand that there's something, going back to this idea of dignity, there's something much deeper underneath. And this is what Jesus meant when he said, those of you without sin, you should throw the first stone.
Yes.
This is what he meant by this. It's to see that no one is above love. We're all connected to love. This is natural for human beings. It's natural for small children. It's natural for wise sages to live in this love, to trust life more than we trust our judgments, more than we trust our mind. So just look where you don't feel love, and that's the place to go deeper into.
Our enemies, our inner enemies, in fact, in the family, because they are, in fact, pieces of our being or our soul projected and put it away.
Yes, judged and And it's one of the hardest things you'll ever do is to just allow them to be that with no judgment.
So love your enemy as you love yourself. In fact, it's recovering your soul.
Yes.
Because the enemy is not an enemy.
No.
It is a mirror for your projections.
Yes. Exactly. And it's a hard lesson though.
Wow, I was thinking about the story of the accident that you witnessed. And I was thinking, what about the driver who caused the accident? What about him? All the blames on him.
Sure.
What he was doing. Even though it is logic that no one wants to make an accident.
No.
Still, you can say, okay, there's some unconscious stuff there, unconscious hate manifesting or so on, but to love even a criminal,
Yes.
He or she have no choice?
No.
No choice?
No, that's the mistake we make. We think that it's conscious.
Conscious, yes.
We think there's awareness there, that
It is
people
no-
choose that.
yes.
No,
In-
because all you have to do is look at when you're angry at your partner or at your child. Do you choose that anger, or does it just rise up inside of you?
Yes.
In most cases, it just rises up inside of you. So it's choiceless, that, you know.
Choiceless.
Yes. Until we're aware. Once we're aware, and this is why it's very important to slow down. Because once we slow down, we can actually see that anger rising up inside of us, and then we have a choice. But until we have that choice, until we have the awareness, until we have the maturity, until we can see that anger almost like rising up inside of us, and in that moment, that's when we have the choice, when we're aware. And then we can actually keep that feeling inside without expressing it.
Do you recommend, so this is a kind of exercise, but from your practice, from your Qigong practice, a simple exercise in order to create the space required to observe our feelings?
Yes, breathing and slowing down. We have to breathe much more aware and consciously. So like this. And most of us, when we're living our life, we breathe very shallow. Stress makes us breathe shallow. And stress is all about living in the future, thinking that somehow in the future we're going to become happy, we're going to become fulfilled. So seeing through the illusion of the future. So breath allows us to come into the present moment. So that's the higher purpose of stress, is to remind us that we're not breathing.
It's, yes, a kind of breathing alarm.
Yes, exactly. Exactly, that we've lost touch with the natural flow of life. So you'll notice that when you're stressed, you're not even aware of your breathing, but if you were, you'd see that it was very, very shallow. Ah, great, you're doing it, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was thinking about crying. When somebody crying, it
Yes.
and this is a natural movement, you know. What can be the explanation in those terms of crying?
Mm-hmm.
When you're crying, the breath is not deep. You see?
Yeah, it depends, you know. I mean, I think the really soulful crying, the breath is very deep, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, so I think that's more on the surface, but when we really cry, when we really release, the breath deepens.
We connect with our deepest soul
and often after we cry, we feel at one with life again. Once we've experienced that, we feel very relaxed and very present, actually. So even though it's very painful and we feel this pain in our hearts, but when we actually surrender to that, afterwards, if you think about all the times you've really cried, a really good cry, you know, afterward there's always a sense of peace and quiet, actually.
A gift of tears.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
So
a great gift.
This is spirituality, in
Absolutely,
fact.
yeah.
To connect with the basis of our personality,
Yeah.
which is emotion.
Yes. Life moving through us. Life moving through us. Yeah. All of life. All of life. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And everyone has that love inside, that heart, you know, and it comes out usually in emergencies, you know, when that person was knocked over. I remember, you know, the tsunami in Japan? And there were wonderful stories of whole communities cut off from each other, you know, from the emergency services, and how those communities came together and supported each other. And I remember seeing the news and some of the Japanese older people saying, you know, this is how we used to live. We used to support each other. We used to help each other. We used to be more friendly. But now we have all these modern ways of cutting ourselves off, and we've lost that, and it seems we need a crisis to remember our basic humanity. Yes, in a way.
Yeah.
In a way, yes, in a way. The Earth's weather is the Earth's emotions in many ways, you know.
If we trust nature, we trust what we call life,
yes.
This means that the tsunami will have some side effects that will bring us again in connection with ourselves.
Yes, but it also sort of reminds us very deeply that life, it seems to the mind that life is not safe. So when we see things like this, accidents or tsunamis or things out of the blue, you know, then our minds go, life is not safe.
It's not safe.
No.
Plus, we have to die.
Yes, yes.
What is safe in this?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So many of my teachers, we have the gene keys coming up now.
Oh, yes, maybe we take a break.
Yes, yes, and watch Richard.
Yes,
from the gene keys.
yeah. So please to see the short movie with the.
I'd like to introduce you to something completely new. It's called the Gene Keys. It's a system of personal transformation, and it's about discovering your genius in life. And the notion behind the Gene Keys is that we are each imprinted through our conception and the point of our birth, that we are imprinted with a set of blueprints, a bit like architect's blueprints, and that if there was a way we could read those blueprints, we'd be able to see our highest potential. And this is what the Gene Keys offer. They are one of the most sophisticated profiling systems ever devised. So you go online to the Gene Keys website and you can download your Gene Keys hologenetic profile, which is essentially what these blueprints are. And it will show you from the time and date and place of your birth this incredible profile. And in that profile you will find so many secret things about yourself. It will take you on a journey, and that journey has 3 phases. And the first phase is about discovering your genius, What are you here to do? What is the highest potential of your life? That's what it will show you straight away. But that's all very well knowing that. Many people have that. They know what they're here to do. They have the dream. But then how do they actually enact it? The second thing the Gene Keys will do is it will show you the obstacles that keep getting in your way. And I tell you, they're always from our relationships. They're always rooted in relationships and matters of the heart. And so the Gene Keys will take you on a journey back into your childhood to rewire those patterns where you closed down your heart, your passion. And it will show you the shadows, those psychological difficulties and challenges that you carry that were imprinted for you. And inside each of those shadows is a gift waiting for you to transform it and accept that shadow. And the third thing that the Gene Keys will do is that they will show you how to enact your genius. It's one thing to see it, it's another to remove the obstacles, but then how do you practically shine that out into the world through your business, through your career, through your work? And the Gene Keys will show you how to prosper in life, how to expand your sphere of influence, and also a key thing is how to be lucky. You know, and that's a whole science in that alone. So if you like the sound of this and you'd like to find out more about yourself, then I invite you to go to the Gene Keys website, download your free profile, the map of your genius, and have a look at it and see if it sparks something in you. And if it does, there's a program you can study, there's a book you can read that explains it all, that helps you to apply the insights to your life and see what happens. It's a magical thing, and congratulations to you for finding us, because you've just begun one of the most amazing journeys in your life, the journey into your genius, the journey to expand your consciousness and shine that light that you have back out into the world.
Yes, a whole new perspective, and I think it is connected with the Tao. Yes, I saw the trigrams there.
Yes, the I Ching.
The I Ching.
Yeah, yeah. It's based on, the Gene Keys are based on the I Ching, yes.
The I Ching.
It's a new interpretation of the I Ching, a modern interpretation.
So you are working together?
We're working together, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and the reason I'm working with the Gene Keys is because they very simply show you the patterns you carry, these ancestral patterns you carry in your DNA that were gifted to you by life for you to transform. So the main teaching of the Gene Keys, and it's basically what we've been teaching here, is that every shadow, every challenge in your life holds a higher purpose. Yeah, holds a higher purpose. And so each Gene Key of these, the 64 of them, based with the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching, is also related to part of your DNA. So there's a relationship between the two, you know. And so, for example, each Gene Key has a what we call a shadow frequency, a gift frequency, and a acidic frequency. But it's really just one aspect, you know, that's just manifesting at different levels in your life. So, for example, let's take a Gene Key so your viewers can understand.
Yes.
So how about the shadow of dissatisfaction?
So I'm always dissatisfied. Whatever I do and where, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Dissatisfaction.
Yeah.
And not
something is missing in my life.
And not only is that a personal dissatisfaction, but it's also collective, because as we talk about that word, then we obviously recognize that that's something all human beings experience. Of course, not the enlightened ones, because they don't identify with that. But for most of us, 99% of humanity would recognize that frequency or that feeling inside our DNA or inside ourselves of dissatisfaction. Like you recognize it as soon as I share it, okay?
Yes.
So, now the Gene Keys do something revolutionary. They say, instead of fighting that dissatisfaction, instead of trying to avoid it, instead of trying to fix it, the gift, do you know what the gift of dissatisfaction is?
First of all, it's a gift, so I have to receive it and to look at it.
Yes, yes. So the gift is vitality. Vitality.
So if I accept it, I can arrive to the treasure, which is vitality. Yes. Otherwise, if I remain stuck in the dissatisfaction, I lose my vitality.
Exactly. And actually you just create a loop, because what you've probably noticed with dissatisfaction is every time it's driving all of humanity out into the world to try and find some resolution.
Yeah.
So there's an incredible energy in dissatisfaction. You only have to sit quietly for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, don't turn on the TV, don't read a book, don't read a paper, don't do anything, and you're going to feel that dissatisfaction inside of you. Just stop all the distraction in your life, right? All the things we use to not feel that dissatisfaction. If you just stop it, you'll feel it.
Yes.
Now, can you stay with it?
This is the second step. So
Yes. Can you allow it? Can you just allow that dissatisfaction inside of you? And when you start to do that, of course, you release a huge amount of energy. Huge amount of energy. And that's where the vitality comes from, because you're no longer fighting that. You're no longer letting it run your life. Can you imagine human beings not living without dissatisfaction? What sort of world would we live in? Let's just hold that moment, because I think it's really important. Imagine a world with no dissatisfaction.
A world with no hell and hellish people. Yes, only with the kind of heaven, a garden.
Yes.
Yes, vitality and...
The highest frequency is bliss, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. So actually what we're doing with these shadows is we're turning inwards. We're not letting them run us anymore. So any of the shadow frequencies, once we start to accept that they have a higher purpose.
It's also a kind of Jungian perspective,
Yes.
looking at the shadow and enlightened the shadow.
Yes. But the difference I would say is, and this is what I've noticed with psychologists or anyone with that background, is that until you actually experience the shadow at a feeling level, you haven't really transformed it.
Of course.
So I've had the privilege of working, touching many psychologists in my work, in bodywork. And invariably what I hear from them when I do this very deep body work with them is, oh, I thought I dealt with that. But actually no, the body still retains the emotional charge. Even though intellectually they understand everything that happened in their childhood, the body is the one that needs to release that pain. And many people, even though they understand, the pain is still in the body. It's not transformed.
Pain is connected with the body. So
Very
body-mind,
body-mind
unity.
Yeah.
And the door, it's through the body.
Yes, through the body. The body has to release that pain. That the things that are undigested in us need to be transformed. So, and you can't do that just with intellectual understanding.
But with heart understanding.
But with heart understanding.
And you said it to disconnect and to remain in the silence. So allow me in this moment to offer you with the music of this program, sound of silence. In fact, mindfulness. It is a modern word for what you. This is in the program of Spearhead University, and thank you, Andrew, for being in this program of the Spearhead University.
It's a cone. This I love this sound of silence. I mean, when you just let that word those three words enter you, you see that it take you to a place of mystery, because how can there be a sound associated with silence, So I love this. This is very powerful.
Yes.
And this is the Siddhic state, actually. It's beyond intellect. It's beyond yin and yang. So if you just contemplate that, we could ask all your viewers, contemplate the sound of silence. The mind goes when you contemplate that. The mind has nowhere to go with that.
Yes.
It's gone. Sound of silence. If you follow those words, they take you to a mysterious place inside your heart.
The mystery you're talking about.
Yes.
We need the mystery.
And this is what happens when you start to embrace these shadows deep inside yourself. Because once you start to embrace these shadows, the mystery of you starts to unfold. Because we're not these patterns in our DNA. We're not these patterns. These patterns were gifted to us by our ancestors, for us to resolve, But we're not these patterns. I always say a human being is a mystery unfolding. And you only have to see a small child to see that, Small child isn't yet limited by patterns. They're very spontaneous, very natural. This is why in the Tao Te Ching it says a child is closest to the Tao, because they're very spontaneous. You know, like I'm having this conversation with you and I have no idea what's going to come out of my mouth. I have no idea, you know.
Yes.
I'm just following the mystery of this conversation, of this moment, you know.
Yes.
And at the same time, I'm very aware that many people are listening to this conversation, and so I want to make sure as well that it's practical for people. So I think this is something I'd like to address now, is spirituality in daily life. What does that mean? What is that? You know?
And I think we have 4 minutes left.
Only 4 minutes left? Wow! The
Yes.
time has gone so quickly, yes. So, okay, so I would like to invite then the Romanian people to gently see how wonderful their hearts are. I've met so many beautiful Romanian hearts here. And to bring that heart into your painful relationships, especially in your family and with your loved ones, and to open your heart to that pain with no reason. To let go of any reasons of why, but just to let your heart and to listen to whoever in your life is challenging you, whoever that is, and to really listen and receive that person. And if you can do that, not out of guilt, not out of pressure, but just out of the naturalness of your heart, I think the whole world can change with those simple acts. Don't you?
So beautiful energy, Andrew.
Mm.
Yes, we have 3 minutes, and spontaneously, I think maybe we conclude our program as we began.
With some music.
And maybe, please,
Yeah.
some words.
Oh, of course, it would be my pleasure.
Yes. Thank you again for looking deeply
Thank you.
to what life means.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you. Thank you. So I have a question for everyone. How does God see us? How does God perceive us? How does life perceive us? How does life perceive our feelings, especially the more darker feelings, the shadowy feelings? And my sense is that life, that God accepts it all. So if there's one thing I'd like to leave everyone with, is this sense of you are not wrong. There's nothing inside of you that needs to be fixed or solved. Look through the eyes of God at your challenges, at your shadows, and see that they have a higher purpose. We've tried judging ourselves. We've tried improving ourselves. We've tried all of that. But it doesn't really work. So maybe we need the more soft approach, the more yin of accepting everything, just as it is. I believe this is the future for humanity. A deep inner acceptance of that which seems unacceptable. And trusting the kingdom of heaven is within us.